Every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul. Percy, what are you talking about? The ghost train. Driver saw it last night. Where? Asked Thomas and Toby. He didn't say. Oh, it makes my wheels wobble to think of it. Puh, said Thomas. You're just a silly little engine. I'm not scared. Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed. Neither do I. It was only a pretend ghost story. Percy was disappointed. That evening, he came back from the harbor. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing. We shan't be long now. He liked running at night. The rails hummed and the signal light shone green. But a broken cartload of lime lay ahead. Sam the farmer had just gone for help. Percy broke the cart to smithereens. Lime flew everywhere. He puffed quickly to the nearest signal box. Percy's driver explained what had happened. I'll see to it, said the signalman. But you'd better clean Percy, or people will think he's a ghost. Percy chuckled. Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine. Toby promised to help. Thomas was being oiled up for his evening train. Percy's had an accident, cried Toby. Poor engine, said Thomas. Botheration. That means I'll be late. They've cleared the line for you, but there's something worse. Out with it, Toby. I can't wait all evening. I've just seen something, said Toby. It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us. Puh. Who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you. Let me in! Let me in! Wailed Percy. No, no, not by the smoke on my chimney, chim. I'll chuff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in. Oh, dear, exclaimed Thomas. It's getting late. Oh, I'd no idea. Oh, I must find Annie and Clarabelle. It was morning when Thomas returned. Where have you been? Asked Toby. Well, said Thomas, I knew you'd be sad about Percy, and I didn't like to intrude. I slept in the freight shed and... Oh, sorry, can't stop. Gotta see a coach about a train. Percy was none the worse for his adventure and was still enjoying himself enormously. He had heard everything. Well, what do you know about that? Anyone would think, chuckled Toby, that our Thomas had just seen a ghost. Thomas and Percy are good friends, but sometimes Percy teases Thomas about being frightened, and he doesn't like that at all. One evening, he was dozing happily, but Percy wanted to talk. Wake up, Thomas. Are you dreaming about the time you thought I was a ghost? Certainly not. Anyway, I was only pretending to be scared. I knew it was you, really. Percy went on teasing him. I hope the guard leaves the light on for you tonight. Why? Asked Thomas. I quite like the dark. Oh, really? Exclaimed Percy. I am surprised. I always thought you were afraid of the dark. I wonder why. Thomas decided to say nothing and went to sleep instead. Next day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. I would like you to go to the harbor tonight. You have to collect something rather unusual. What sort of something? Asked Thomas. Wait and see, replied Sir Topham Hatt. Meanwhile, Percy was moving freight cars into a siding. Henry arrived with his goods train. The signalman changed the switches, and Percy waited on the siding until Henry had steamed by. Then there was trouble. The switches are jammed, called the signalman. I can't switch them back for Percy. The workmen will have to mend them in the morning. It's too late now. Said Percy's driver. I'm sorry, Percy, but you'll have to stay here for the night. Where are you going? Asked Percy. Home for tea, replied the fireman. Percy was speechless. He watched as the other engines went home to the shed. Nighttime came, and Percy began to feel very lonely. Oh, dear, he murmured. It's very dark. Oh, what's that? It was only an owl, but Percy didn't realize this. Oh, I wish Thomas were here too, he sighed. Thomas was waiting for his mysterious load at the harbor. Suddenly, there it was. Cinders and ashes, cried Thomas. It's a dragon. Don't worry, laughed his driver. This dragon is made of paper. It's for the carnival tomorrow. Workmen lifted the dragon onto Thomas's low loader and put lights all round it for protection. Then Thomas set off into the misty night. Percy was asleep on his siding and had no idea that Thomas was approaching him. Percy woke up with a start. Help! Cried Percy. I'm not going to open my eyes until my driver comes. Next morning, the switches were mended and Percy puffed back to the junction. Gordon was just about to leave with the express. You'll never guess what I saw last night. Gordon was in no mood for puzzles. I'm a busy engine. I don't have time for your games. I've seen a huge dragon. It was covered in lights. Gordon snorted. You've been in the sun too long. Your dome has cracked. When the other engines heard the news, they laughed too. Look out, Percy, chuckled James, or the dragon may gobble you up. No one believes me, huffed Percy. Maybe I did imagine the dragon after all. But Percy soon found out that he hadn't. Help! Save me! Cried Percy. It's all right, whistled Thomas, and he explained about the carnival. By the way, how was your night out? Percy decided to tell Thomas the truth. Well, Percy, said Thomas, maybe we do get scared sometimes, but if we're not afraid to tell each other, then that means we're quite brave, too.
On the island of Sodor, high up in the mountains was a mysterious boulder. It had stood alone for a long time, but one day workmen arrived to build a quarry on the land below. Rusty, the little diesel, met Thomas and Percy. "Where's all this rock coming from?" Percy asked. "The new quarry," replied Rusty. "This mountain rock is good for many things, although it's dangerous up there." "Why?" asked Thomas. "Because of a big boulder. I think it's watching me," said Rusty nervously. "How can it be? Boulders don't have eyes." "Well, Percy, there's something strange about this one." Just then, Edward arrived. He was delivering a new piece of machinery for the quarry. "What's that?" asked Rusty. "It's called Thumper." Apparently it helps collect the rock faster, replied Edward. Soon Thumper was working hard. The men were pleased, but no one bothered to check the boulder. When it rained, the workmen went away. Rusty gazed up and shivered. Above stood Boulder. Suddenly, a large slab of rock landed on the rails. Rusty was shocked. Driver was concerned. We'd best leave till the weather's better. The rain loosened some of this rock. I think it's Boulder wanting us to go away. The next day, the sun shone. Thumper was working harder than ever. Suddenly, Rusty noticed something. Boulder's moving. Don't be so daft. It can't, said the driver. But it could. It's rolling along our line. We'll stop here until Boulder passes by, said the driver. But Boulder was nowhere to be seen. Then, oh no, it's behind us. Just ahead, they saw a small junction. One line went uphill. Boulder thundered past. Meanwhile, Scaredy was making his way up to the quarry. Then he saw Boulder. Help! Boulder was catching up fast. We must warn the yards, shouted Scaredy. Yes, but how? Called Rusty. Boulder rounded a bend, and there ahead was Rheneas. It's running loose, yelled Rheneas. His driver drove him back as fast as he could. Hurry! Better a smash than a squash, sighed his driver. At the yards, Percy was collecting trucks. Then he heard Boulder. Oh no, heading straight for me, squeaked Percy. When Sir Topham Hatt inspected the damage, he decided to close the mine. Then he looked at Boulder. We should have left this part of the island alone. They moved Boulder to a hill close by the yards. Rusty is sure that on a clear night it is gazing up at the mountain and that its sides are being carried on the wind to where it once used to stand proud and silent. I wonder if Rusty is right. Don't you? In the summertime, the branch line station masters enjoy a friendly competition for the most beautiful station on the island of Sodor. The engines love to help too. One evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to the sheds. I want Percy to collect some flower bushes for Lower Tidmouth Station, he said. They're at Maithwaite. Maithwaite? Percy said. Yes, sir, he added nervously. Percy chuffed anxiously through the thickening fog. He doesn't like traveling to Maithwaite at night. The line passes through a junction next to a spooky old quarry mine. Percy hoped the signal at the junction would be green. He didn't want to stop next to the mine, but the signal was red. He had to stop. Suddenly, he saw something. bouncing buffers, cried Percy. His driver hadn't seen the old chimney sink into the ground. The signal changed. Percy was so scared, he steamed away as fast as he could. The next day, Percy was telling Donald and Douglas about the disappearing chimney. "It's the naughty gnomes," teased Donald. "We fat men with big feet, they make strange things happen," said Douglas. "It's legend. They steal your wheels and filch your funnels." Percy didn't want to believe them, but he wasn't sure. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting for Percy at Dryall Station. "I want you to collect some freight cars from the abandoned mine," he said. Yes, sir," Percy answered, but he really didn't want to go there again. Percy hoped he wouldn't see anything else disappear. He slipped into the sidings and buffered up to the freight cars. "Spooky," stammered Percy. Suddenly, another building at the old mine sank into the ground. "What was that?" shouted his driver. "Double bouncing buffers," shrieked Percy. He was so scared, he lurched forward and rammed the freight car. "Naughty gnomes," cried Percy. He steamed away faster than before, all the way back to Lower Tidmouth Station. Percy's driver told Sir Topham Hatt what they had seen. "It's the naughty gnomes," cried Percy. "They like to cause trouble. It's legend." "Nonsense," said Sir Topham Hatt. "The old buildings are collapsing into empty mine shafts, that's all." "But I saw the gnomes," protested Percy. "Of course you did," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Garden gnomes." "Garden gnomes?" "To decorate Lower Tidmouth Station," Sir Topham Hatt said. "They're not scary. Garden gnomes bring good luck." And he ordered Percy to return immediately and get them. Percy was scared, but he knew he had to be responsible, so he carried on. "I'm not scared. I'm not scared." He waited for something else spooky to happen, but it didn't. And Sir Topham Hatt was right. The garden gnomes weren't scary at all. His driver and firemen had collected the gnomes, and Percy took them straight back to Lower Tidmouth Station. Later that week, the station master thanked Percy. "We wouldn't have won our competition without your garden gnomes, Percy." Percy was very proud. "You were right, sir. Naughty gnomes can be lucky after all." The engines on the island of Sodor look forward to Halloween. They love Sir Topham Hatt's fireworks and the children dressing up as wizards and witches. They also love Edward's spooky stories. They say that on Halloween, the ghost engine returns to the smelters looking for his lost whistle. "Woo, woo. Ooh, ah, spooky," the engine said, all shivering a little. Later, Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "Thomas, Percy, and Duck, I have a special job for you. You are to collect some scrap from the smelter's yard tonight." "On Halloween?" "Don't worry. You will be back in time for the fireworks." "Percy isn't worried about missing the fireworks," teased Thomas. "He's a scaredy engine." "I am not," called Percy. But he was, a little. At the smelters, all Percy could think about was Edward's ghost engine. Thomas knew Percy was scared, so he teased him even more. "What's that up there?" Thomas squeaked. "Is it a spook?" "It's just a piece of twisted scrap," Percy said nervously. "Isn't it?" Thomas was having fun. He kept on teasing Percy. "Careful the ghost engine doesn't get you," Thomas said. "There's no such thing as ghosts," snapped Percy. Duck felt sorry for Percy. Nobody's brave all the time, said Duck. But I'm not a scaredy engine, Percy insisted. The job was nearly complete. Well done, the yard manager said. Now I'll need one engine to finish up. Duck wanted to pay Thomas back for all his teasing. Please, sir, he said. I'm sure Thomas wouldn't mind staying. Of course not, Thomas boasted. I'm not a scaredy engine. So Duck and Percy left. When Thomas was by himself, every sound and every shadow was spooky. He was beginning to feel very scared. There's no such thing as ghosts, he said nervously. Who's there? Thomas was so busy looking for ghosts, he didn't watch where he was going. The chains felt like ghost fingers. Something's got me! Thomas wheeshed and set off an old steam whistle. Ghost whistle, said Thomas, and he raced away as fast as his wheels could carry him. The ghost engine is after me! It was naughty of Thomas to tease you, Percy, said Duck. He was only playing, said Percy. I hope he hurries up. I wouldn't want him to be late for the fireworks. He's after me! I don't think you'll be late, said Duck. Duck and Percy joined the other engines for the fireworks. Where's Thomas? Percy asked. He'll miss all the fun. It would serve him right after all his teasing, Duck said. But Percy was worried. He went to look for his friend. He found Thomas all alone in the shed. Are you all right, Thomas? He said. Yes, I'm sorry I teased you, Percy, Thomas said. Duck was right. We all feel scared sometimes. And we all have to say sorry sometimes, said his friend. So come on, Thomas. We can watch the fireworks just as well from here. And he was right.
Halloween, down goes the sun. Thomas on a nighttime run. On the tracks round every bend. It's getting dark as daytime ends. Well, it's the night ghosts and goblins play. Everyone knows it's a special day. All the trains say ghosts can be, but all the ghosts just disagree. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. The station's such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Well, in every town, on every street, all the witches and goblins meet. Stop to stop and in between. Hey, blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Is that a ghost that Percy saw? Ooby-dooby, run, run, run. He'll be glad when this trip is done. Well, Halloween, down goes the sun. Thomas on a nighttime run. All the trains say ghosts can be, but all the ghosts just disagree. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. The station's such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. The station's such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Skeletons, ghosts, pirates too. Let's dress up, so fun to do. It'll be such a spooky scene. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Blow your whistles, it's Halloween. Yeah. Trick or treat.